Oh, well, hello there. I didn't see you. My name's Elizabeth, and I suppose you want to hear about immigration and education today. Since it is a pretty big topic, I'm going to divide it up into three parts, and the first part is going to be a general overview of immigration history into the United States. The second part is going to be specifically about the state of Maryland and about our school, and the third part is going to focus on various aspects of education for immigrants. The United States is no stranger to immigrants. Since the 1850s, 40 million immigrants have come to America in search of new opportunities and new life. As a result, we have become a country with people from all around the world. The first wave of immigrants came mainly from European countries like Italy, England, Germany, Ireland, and Russia. The second wave came in the form of Chinese workers. The Chinese Exclusion Act was passed to limit the amount of Chinese immigrants. This has been the first type of law to actually ban people because of their race. And 2 decades later, the Immigration Act of 1917 was passed, which restricted immigrants from other Asian countries. It wasn't until the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act that actually got rid of the national origins quota system that had been in place for so long. During the civil rights era of the 1960s and 70s, there was a push to improve language instructions for non-English speaking students. However, opposition for bilingual education grew during the 1980s and 90s. In 1967, President Lyndon B. Johnson passed the Bilingual Education Act, which provided financial aid to school districts to help students who had limited English skills. In 1975, the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare set up regulations and funding for bilingual education. However, in 1981, the Reagan administration eliminated bilingual education standards and also began to cut funding from education. In June 1982, the Supreme Court ruled in the landmark decision of Plyer v. Doe, which determined that states could not deny students a free education on the account of their immigration status. Despite the landmark Supreme Court decision, opposition for bilingual education continued. In 1998, California passed Proposition 227, which required English immersion programs for non-English speaking students. Lastly, in 2002, President Bush passed the No Child Left Behind Act, which eliminated the previous Bilingual Education Act, but still held school districts accountable for their non-English speaking students to meet proficiency standards. As a result of these laws and other circumstances, there have been shifts in immigration to the U.S. The Migration Policy Institute shows this data in these trends. In 1960, the largest foreign-born immigrant groups came from European countries. However, in 2013, the largest groups are mostly from Asian and South American countries. These numbers do not take into account the children who are born from these immigrant parents. Currently, it is estimated that 1 in 4 children in America are born from foreign-born parents. However, it is projected that by the year 2050, that ratio will increase to 1 in 3 children. Now that we talked about immigration history into the U.S., we're going to transition and talk more specifically about immigration facts for our state of Maryland and for our school. As of 2013, the percentage of foreign-born people who are currently living in Maryland is about 14.2%, and a whopping 81% of these people are between the ages of 18 and 64. Let's transition into language and education for the state of Maryland. Here's a chart that represents the percentages of English proficiency levels of those who are living in Maryland as of 2013. The foreign-born population has a much more spread out level of proficiency compared to the U.S.-born population. It is also worth noting that aside from a graduate or professional degree, foreign-born citizens of Maryland are less likely to have a high school diploma or a college education. Now here are some quick facts about our school as we watch these Terps speed on by. Campus, we have people from diverse backgrounds and different cultures. the first three words that come to mind when you think of education?
I think of teachers, parents, and curriculum.
Okay, and for you, what are the first three words when you think about immigration?
I think about race, countries, and moving.
What are three words that come to mind when you think of the word education?
Knowledge is power.
What are three words that come to mind when you think of immigration?
Family, Italy, and Ellis Island.
Lastly, we're going to be talking about education for our immigrants. There are three major sides to the debate on how we should educate non-English speakers in America. One of the sides is to have English-only or English immersion programs. In these programs, students are placed into classrooms that are taught in all English. After they have reached a certain level of proficiency, they are then integrated back into normal classroom settings. Proponents of English-only programs say that this will allow minority students to become assimilated into our society at a faster rate. They also say that bilingual education is more costly than regular education. The second argument is to have ESL classes, and in these classes, students who do not speak English are all put into one class and are taught by one teacher in English. The students will have a mix of regular class time and separate ESL classes throughout the day. Supporters of ESL classes say that these are beneficial to students because it not only helps them to learn English, but it also puts them into settings where they're with other children who are also learning English as well. The third side to this debate is to have bilingual education classes. In these classes, all the students will be speaking the same language, and the teacher will also be teaching them in their primary language. The students will be able to learn their basics first in their primary language, which will also help them to gradually learn English. Proponents of bilingual education say that English learners will not fall behind their peers content-wise, because they will be learning the same material as the other students. Bilingual education has not received much support these last couple of years. However, the lagging indicators of ELL students show that there must be a change with our current system. The fact that 25% of all ELL students are not meeting their proficiency levels should alarm every single educated person in the U.S. The achievement gap between English learners and English speakers has also been increasing these last couple of years. 73% of ELL third graders scored below basic on their reading tests. This is almost double the nation's average of 36%. Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed my video, and I really hope that you've been able to take something away from it. And as a part of my final project, I would just like to give my own thoughts about this topic. Having come from immigrant parents, I know what it's like to have to learn English and to assimilate into society at a pretty young age. Luckily, I've been able to be fortunate enough to attend schools that have enough resources and quality teachers for me to really gain a well-rounded education. And I'm also very fortunate to be able to come to the University of Maryland, which is a pretty diverse campus. And this is something that I've realized after just looking around and seeing who's in my classes, who do I see day to day, and also just doing some research on our school. I also consider myself really lucky to be bilingual and to be able to speak both Korean and English. Just doing research, I found that there is this stigma that does surround students of young age, particularly who are labeled as bilingual or English learners. And a lot of articles were saying that they're seen as less intelligent or not as likely to succeed. I would just like to say that it is because of those types of stereotypes that I believe a lot of kids are feeling really oppressed in school. So I think it's really important for us to not think about things like that. And I would also like to say that you can be bilingual and American at the same time. And there's no rule that says that if you're an American, you only speak English. I think it's really awesome when I do see people in my classes who are taking other foreign languages in order to really expand their horizons. I think it's so awesome. And I think that as a class that we've been able to learn a lot from each other, just listening to everyone's opinions and backgrounds and thoughts about things, I definitely have gained a lot more than what I would from any textbook, I believe. So I would just like to challenge everyone to continue on and thinking critically about these topics so that as we grow older and become taxpayers of society, we will be able to really benefit those around us.